Hi, I'm Blake Schofield, founder and CEO of The Bridge to Fulfillment. Mom to 3, USA Today top 10 professional coach, and former corporate executive who got tired of sacrificing my life for a comfortable paycheck. My mission is to expand perspectives to achieve greater impact at home and work without sacrifice. This is The Bridge to Fulfillment. If you feel stressed or anxious or overwhelmed this time of year, and no matter what you do, you just feel so busy, I want to share with you that busyness is not a badge of honor. It's actually a warning sign. I know what I'm sharing with you today will likely seem counterintuitive to what everyone around you is saying. And yet, I know it's the key to freedom, the key to more peace of mind, more presence in your life, more joy, greater impact, to be seen as a stronger leader, and to lead a life of more fulfillment. As a society, we've attached being busy to not being lazy, to being somebody who makes an impact, to success, to just a byproduct of what life looks like when you have an important job or a family or you're getting things done. Our society is conditioning us to believe that we should be busy and that busyness is good. We grew up watching our parents work a lot and believed that that's why they were successful. And to be honest, if you're anything like me, you also maybe struggle with leaving a lot of space or sitting in the quiet or not having that to-do list run through your head. Thankfully, that's not how I operate today, but that is how I operated for the vast majority of my life until I began to seek a better way, until I began to understand that I had belief systems and conditioning, and I had a lot of fear around other people's judgment, around how not doing so much might negatively impact my relationships or my career, and around believing that the way I was approaching things was the best way to approach it. And all of those things kept me trapped in this constant cycle of being busy. And listen, the busyness wasn't consistent all the time, but the pattern kept existing. And then I would run across friends or colleagues that were also really busy. And so it seemed like, well, this is just the way life is. But I can tell you, if you're looking at your life and you're saying, I wish I had more time for me or for deeper relationships or community, or I wish I felt more mentally, physically, and emotionally present with my family or my kids, then this is a sign, right? An opportunity, a feedback loop that's showing you that what you're experiencing in your day-to-day life, what you're creating, isn't in alignment with who you are and who you want to be. Our fear is if we stop doing so much, we'll be seen or judged as lazy. We won't be able to produce the same types of results we produce in our career. Maybe we'll upset or hurt people who are relying on us, or we'll be judged. And it is those fears unexamined that steal our joy, that steal our impact, that steal our presence, and that steal our health, our peace of mind, and our life. You know, I remember when I was working in corporate, I would hear people talk about, well, you just need boundaries, better boundaries. I laugh at that because a lot of the people that are trying to teach you how to do better boundaries just say, well, you should just leave at 5 o'clock or you should do XYZ. It's all focused on tactics. But here's the problem. If we could just solve these challenges with tactics alone, everyone would have implemented the system and no one would be running around busy or overwhelmed. Tactics alone won't solve the problem, and they're relying on willpower. They're relying on your ability to consistently override your subconscious belief systems and fears rather than removing them or addressing them. Boundaries are absolutely key in our lives, but it's a struggle to know where or how to put them in when you're not used to listening to your own needs, your own feelings, or when you're constantly overriding those because of the fears or anxieties that you have, or not even just having the space to look at your life differently and figure out how you can prioritize and create change. And so today I'm going to give you one small step to take because change happens through a series of small steps. But when you actually can address these things at a deeper root, change happens exponentially because how you do one thing is how you do everything. Meaning, whatever the belief systems are tied to some of the problems going on in your life, I can promise you that they're tied to multiple problems going on in your life. And when you remove that one belief system, the ripple effect of change is vast, significant, and transformative. But for today, we're just going to start with something small, something that in the middle of the overwhelm, in the busyness of the season of whatever's going on in your life, that you can take action on to begin to open the door to see how you can create this change and how you can start to challenge the patterns that are keeping you from leading the life that you want. So, first things first, just stop really quickly and think to yourself, what is the one thing that is creating the greatest amount of stress, overwhelm, or friction for me right now? What is that one thing? Do you know what it is? If not, stop, take a minute, and start journaling and write it down. Once you've identified what that is, I want you to write down what are the belief systems I have around this. It might be like, I have to get this done tomorrow. There's like an urgency behind it. If I don't do this, XYZ person will be upset. This is what would happen if this doesn't get done the way I think it needs to be done. This is what other people's expectations are of this thing. Write down all of the things that are coming up for you regarding what is creating stress. And I would venture to bet it's not just a mix of what other people will think, but it's also a deadline, when it has to be done. It's also how it must be done in order to create this outcome, right? And that is coupled with all of the other demands that you have. So once you have identified what this thing is, and then you've really written down what are the fears, concerns, or connected related things that are creating that stress, I want you to think about who are the people impacted by this decision. Is it just me? And if it is just me, what a great opportunity to say, am I giving myself a deadline that's unachievable? Or is this thing really necessary? Or am I just being like caught in a perfectionist wheel or making things that are a desire actually seem like they're a need? That's the easiest way to go if it's just you. But if it's not you, and maybe it's your spouse or your kids that will be impacted, or maybe it's your boss or your team, then it's an opportunity to approach one or more of those people that would be involved or impacted by whatever it is that you've got going on and just open the dialogue. Share with them that you're feeling overwhelmed, you're looking to be able to prioritize, and ask them what is their opinion or how do they feel about whatever this thing is. The important part as you go in there is don't go in and presume that they see it the same way that you do, that they have the same time urgency, that they have the same fears or concerns that you do, or that it can only be done in the way that you're doing it. So you must suspend judgment and just go in, share, and seek feedback. The beautiful thing about this is very often it will expose some of your own flaws in thinking, your own belief systems that are inaccurate, or different paths or considerations that you hadn't even thought of. It is an amazing thing. And when we can start to see that our view of things is limited, that we have blind spots, that maybe we're creating our own stress and anxiety, that maybe the things that we really care about aren't as critical for somebody else, the weight can begin to be lifted. And it starts to open a door to how to view our perspective of overwhelm, our perspective of business, our perspective of what we have, what we need to do differently. The very first time this door was opened for me was back at Target in 2010. I was going to meet my DMM. So that's the person that's in charge at the time, I was in charge of all of women's apparel at Target. And I was going to meet Todd for the first time. And my boss actually asked me what was I planning to present. And I had thought through all of the things I wanted to share and how I wanted to show up. And I was really proud and excited about that. And she looked at me and basically told me, you don't need to talk about any of these things. These are the three things you need to talk about. And I was really honestly in the moment offended. Like, what do you mean? That's not enough. I want to share all of these things because I want to show up as my best self. And I don't feel like that would be me showing up as my best self. And she gave me some feedback in terms of what was my real outcome or goal. Was it to meet Todd's expectations and show up in a way that Todd could see my value? Or was it to meet my expectations and what I thought was necessary? It was a really large challenge for me mentally and emotionally. But when I came back the next day, I began to understand that maybe the way I viewed things wasn't the full picture and that I was creating unnecessary stress, guidelines, perspectives about how things had to be done that were unnecessary. I ended up taking her advice going into the conversation and sharing things in the way that she had suggested. And I had an amazing conversation, and it set the stage for a really fantastic relationship. But that would have never happened if I had not had the dialogue, if I had not been open to a different perspective, or I had not seen that maybe, just maybe, there was another way to do it. A couple years ago, during the busy holiday season, I began to feel a lot of stress as a mom about what I had built as history for what I would do for the kids for the holidays. And I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to accomplish it all. And I was feeling this internal stress, angst, and anxiety about it. And rather than try to push through and get it all done and be all stressed, I chose to actually talk to my kids and understand and share with them, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I really want to make sure that you have a great Christmas and this matters to you. Do all these things matter to you, or what matters to you to feel like we're celebrating together and you get the best of the holiday? And what I found was very surprising that this long list of things I thought I needed to do that mattered to my kids was actually a very, very short list to my kids that was a very different list than what I had anticipated. And so, in my belief system that I had to do all these things in order to create an outcome for my kids, I hadn't really understood what they cared about. And so I would have done all of this unnecessary work and still not gotten the outcome that I was truly seeking. Those two experiences, one personal, one professional, just highlight the power of the exercise I'm giving you today and the ability to begin to see and challenge and look at where you're putting your time, your energy, and your state of mind, and to begin to see that there could be very better and very different and very much more efficient ways to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So that's my gift and my homework for you, because there's likely something, at least one thing right now going on in your life that feels stressful or overwhelming or you feel busy about. And if you can just take and apply this in such a small dose, it will begin to open that door for you. It will begin to help you see it differently. And it will begin to help you understand what really is necessary to achieve the outcomes that you want. And whether that needs to be achieved by you or not, whether that can be delegated, whether that can be done in a different way, or whether the time frame of which you've placed on it isn't accurate. There could be any number of outcomes, but venture to bet the outcome and the knowledge that you'll gain from doing this exercise will help give you a new doorway, new momentum, and a new perspective shift to create more space, more peace, and more of what you want in your life. As always, thanks again for joining me. Until next time, have a great week.